So step one is to break 3 eggs and to weigh what they come to without their shells. Now for step 2 I need exactly 1¼ times the weight of the eggs in wheat grain, because I'm going to mill my own flour using the Kenwood Chef. So there's the 6½, just gone over, and I said approximately another 2, so that'll make it 8½. And that's a fraction over. So I've got the wheat mill set up on the Kenwood Chef. So this is the A901E Kenwood Chef with the wheat mill attached to it. It goes onto the high-speed outlet at the, sorry, not the high-speed, it goes onto the power outlet at the front of the machine. So for that you just remove the cover plate where the mincer and other tools of that type would go, shredder, etc. And there's a little chute on the bottom of it which can be directed either into the bowl or out to a separate container. I've got this one going straight into one of the spare bowls I've got for the machine. And so I'm going to pass the wheat through, first of all on setting 4. It won't go through on a lower setting straight away because it's too big to go through the rollers. Then I shall empty it out of the bowl back into here and pass it through again on setting 2. And finally I'll repeat that process on setting 1, which will give me a really fine and airy flour to work with. Here we go. So here's the flour after it's been through that third and final pass on the setting number 1. So that just wants 1 teaspoonful of baking powder into it at the point that it goes into the cake mixture. Oh, I've said the word cake, I've given away what I'm making. So here we are then with the honey and the margarine in the bowl, and we've got the Flexi-Beater creaming tool in the hub of the machine. We've got the splash guard fitted back on, and so now we're going to just put the head down and we're going to cream the honey and the margarine together until they're smooth and silky. We have the honey and margarine cream nicely together, so now with the mixer running on a fairly slow speed, I'm going to add about half the egg mixture. I say mixture, all I've done is beat the eggs a little bit with a fork just to break the yolks up. Then I'm going to add about half of the flour, and I have just put 1 teaspoonful of baking powder in there as well. And then I'll put the other half of the egg in, and finally the other half of the flour, and mixed until it's just nicely mixed in. No need to over mix it, in fact that'll make a very heavy cake. So here we go on low speed, so I'll go on to minimum speed. And there we have it. We've now got the cake mixture. Nice consistency, all mixed in, ready to fold in the gooseberries. So now I've attached the folding tool. You don't need to use this. You can just put the gooseberries in and stir it twice with a wooden spoon and that's it. But I've got a folding tool, so why not use it? And so we'll put the head of the Kenwood down into the bowl. The gooseberries I have topped and tailed. I mentioned before how easy it is just to flick the tops and the tails off when they're frozen. And I've rinsed them under cold water just to make sure there's no little bits. Put the machine on the minimum speed, tip the gooseberries in, and it'll not be more than at most 10 seconds of folding, and then they'll be done. You could, as I say, do it so easily by hand. And that really is it. The gooseberries are just folded lightly into the mixture so that when I tip it out into the tin to bake, they're fairly well distributed. So here's the final step. The mixture is now ready to go into the tin. I do like a good loose bottomed heavy gauge tin. This one's a pre-war one of my grandmother's. Actually it bakes the best cakes out of all the tins I've got, and most of them are pre-war. So it's approximately a 9-inch tin. And I'm just going to tip the mixture straight in. Oh, and by the way, I do like modern things. I've cheated with lining the tin. Grandma would have had a fit. She'd have been brushing it with melted butter and then either sticking strips of greaseproof paper to the sides and a circle to the base, or she would have been putting a little flour in, tumbling it around and tipping the excess out to lubricate the tin. But I'm afraid I go for these greaseproof paper tin liners that just slot in like an oversized bun case, and job done. And you don't need to worry too much about the creases in the paper, the flutes in it, because actually when the product comes out at the end of it, it doesn't seem to bother the texture or the appearance at all. So mixture in, as you can see, it's quite a nice stiff mixture. So even if you're using a loose bottom tin, if you do line it the old fashioned way, it's not a mixture that's going to run out through the bottom of the tin. And I'm just gently easing it to the sides of the tin. So that's now going to go into the oven, and it's going to go in at gas mark 6. Whatever that is in modern money, I can't remember. Let me look at the oven and I'll tell you in a second. It's approximately 200 or just under 200. And I'm using a fanned gas oven. I'm sure it works equally well, maybe even better in an electric fan oven, I don't know. But I have to say that I'm delighted with this fanned gas oven, and I wish I'd known about them years ago. I'd have replaced my cooker far before I did if I'd known. Makes fantastic cakes, and I can bake up to 7 cakes at once in this oven. So there you go, that's the mixture. And no, I still haven't told you what it is yet. We'll find out when it comes out at the end. But I mean, you can see it's a cake and it's got gooseberries in, and it's a recipe of my own. And here's the finished product: one sustainably sourced, very much homegrown gooseberry cake.
Smaller. I know, it's the same.
Cheers.